Hey guys, it's Katie and welcome back to my YouTube channel today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm here today for another Maker Monday and I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I paint one of my round door hangers. But I'm going to shake it up a little bit and I'm doing a fun spring sign and I'm going to be showing you guys how I do the buffalo check plaid painting technique. Now we're not going to be doing it in the black and white. We're gonna shake it up and do it for spring. We're gonna add some fun colors today. So I'm gonna be walking you guys through that step-by-step process and then just kind of finish it up by sharing with you guys how I finish out my round door hanger signs. This sign turned out to be so bright and cheery and I'm super excited about it. I wanted to quickly show you some of the paints. I'm using mostly Folk Art and Waverly chalk paint from Walmart and Valspar for the background of this round sign. Now for the buffalo check, you do need to have some sort of blue painter's tape, maybe not the blue tape, but painter's tape. And I prefer this that is about the inch wide for this particular size. Now, depending on your project, you may want to choose a different piece. So I've laid one piece down and then I'm making kind of a spacer piece with that other small piece. And so then I'm going to lay down the next piece of blue painter's tape and then move my spacer and so on so that I have equal spaces throughout my whole sign. And you for sure want to make sure that your tape is down tight, and I decided to just leave that top part wide and open because I'm going to cover it up. So I'm using Ballet Slipper from Waverly Paint, and I kind of thought that would pair good with the other paint that I use. It ended up being pretty darn bright, but actually I kind of like it and I think maybe I'm going to pull some more of those colors. So after I've painted my stripes, I pull the tape off and I let that dry, and then I am going to go in the opposite direction. Again, using the spacers and laying down my strips of paint. So now it's time to go with a little bit darker paint option there. And I'll link up all of the colors that I used. If you don't have the various Waverly chalk paints like this, you could just do like a bright pink and maybe add a little bit of white to the first layer. And then I kind of got to thinking about that afterwards. I should have probably done that. So I apologize. This is a bit of a hot mess, but this is my technique of how I do it. I did feel like this was pretty bright, so I went over it with a baby wipe and just kind of muted it down. And you'll see that it does need to have like the 3 varying shades. You'll see when we get to the end of it. So once I let that dry, then I went back over, and you want to lay your blue painter's tape down where you had it before. In this little section, I'm not doing it correctly. You don't want it to go over the previous lines you painted. You want it to go in the same place. So what I wanted it to be doing was actually to go in the spaces where you can see some of the white. So I do move that once I figure out that I was doing it incorrectly. Oh my gosh, what a hot mess. So then I go back over it with this darker paint, and this time I left it much darker. I made sure that it was good and painted up nicely. I don't press too terribly hard because even though the painter's tape is pretty good with a hold, it still could bleed, and I don't want that. I like nice crisp lines. And I barely let things dry. I'm just going to rip that paint off because I want to see it. And at this point, I am falling in love because I feel like this is a very fun, springy, almost like a picnic table type look. I don't know. It looks so cute. I'm so excited. I love doing the buffalo plaid technique. I've done it on a lot of things. So now I have these laser cut words, and both the round and these laser cut words come from Craft Deals. I will link them up. So I was going to use the celery color, but I just felt like that was really too light. And so the only other color I had was this dark green from Apple Barrel. And so I just went ahead and I painted the whole thing, the whole Hello Spring. And I put it up on a couple of things of Mod Podge because I didn't want it sticking to my brown paper. And then that way I could kind of see the crevices and shove my brush down in there. I'm a hot mess when it comes to painting. Now I did feel like this was just a tad too shocking. So I'm just adding like a little bit of dimension by getting a little bit of white paint. This is white Waverly chalk paint from Walmart, and then kind of mixing it in with the green and just kind of adding a little bit of dimension. My friend Stacy over on Facebook at Color Me Cutie, she does this with her 3D words like this, and oh my Lanta, you guys, it turns out so stinking cute. So I thought that this was kind of a fun little addition, add a little bit of dimension and some fun shading to this. I love how the whole thing turned out. Keep watching for how I make my bows. I just wanted to take a minute to let you guys know that it's National Craft Month, and with that I am relaunching my YouTube channel, and I'm also doing some weekly lives, so make sure you check out the links down below. Here on YouTube, Mondays are Maker Mondays, and then Fridays are Fun Fridays, and you can find the links to all my social media down below. Moving on to how I make my bows, I always start with the wired ribbon, and I like to use pipe cleaners to hold them together. So I start out by making a little loop there in the middle. This is going to be your middle loop, so this can be as big as you want it. And then you're going to kind of pinch the back part, make sure that you've got plenty of room so that nothing pulls out or comes apart. So I sometimes even like to go a little bit longer and pinch it together. Now because this is pattern ribbon, you're going to have to twist it so that the pattern is on the outside. And then I just make the size loop that I like, and usually I start with a little bit smaller, something kind of similar to that middle. Then we're going to pinch it all together and make sure everything is holding tight there again. And once again, you're going to have to twist it so that the pattern is on the same side. Now, if you use ribbon that doesn't have pattern, you don't necessarily have to do that, but it is a good practice to get into. And then you're going to make your loop about the same size on the other side. Pinch everything all together, and then again twist and make another loop. Pinch it all together in the back. Make sure your hands are ready to go and you're ready to hold on to this. And then make another loop. And at this point, you guys can keep going as big and as wild as you want to with your loops. It's totally up to you. I usually like to do 2 or 3, but again, like when I go across like that, I'm showing you that I kind of angle it and then I come back, and so then when I twist it, I kind of twist it so that it goes in the opposite direction. And of course, once you get these onto your sign, you're going to want to floof them up. And even when I mail them, I stick a little note that says in there, you may need to zhuzh up your little bow a bit. For this particular one, I decided to go about 3 loops, okay? So you can go as big or as little as you want to. So now I need to get some tails on this. So in order to do that, you need to make sure everything is tight and holding together, twist it again, and then kind of figure out about how long you want your tail to be and see what length. Sometimes I go a little bit longer so that I have some room. And we're just gonna kind of measure, and we're gonna cut this off. I can't do it left-handed. I'm a hot mess here. I'm gonna make sure I can get this. Do you guys love my Pioneer Woman scissors? I do. Okay, so now we've got that little piece, and we're just going to flip that around. Trying to get a grasp on everything. Flip it around. Make sure that it's twisted the correct way so that the pattern is on the outside. Take that little end and tuck it over. And again, give yourself ample room to hold on to it. You don't want anything falling out once you put your pipe cleaner in there. So we've got everything tightened together and ready to go. And I'm going to put my pipe cleaner through that first little hole that I created and then wrap it around. Now the thing I like about pipe cleaner, it has that little bit of that wire in there so that it holds things so much tighter than I could ever get with twine, and I can just twist it. Zip ties work too, but I really love the pipe cleaner, and I like being able to get it in colors so that it kind of is hidden. So I'm just going to twist it around a little bit and make sure everything looks good. Make sure everything is tight in there, that none of the little pieces are going to fall out. And now I'm ready to cut my tails. And so I just kind of pull them tight so that they're in the middle. and cut down the middle. And there you go. You've got your fun little bow and a couple of tails. I'm also going to add just a little bit of the brown twine burlap. There we go. The brown burlap behind this bow. And just because I kind of like having a little bit of offset color. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, I've had this sign hanging up on my wall for a few days, and I kind of feel like maybe it needed a different color bow. Maybe I shouldn't have done the bow and the words the same color. I don't know. I'm doing this for myself, and I'm really just going to hang it in my own home, so whatever. So for the bow in the back, you could do the same thing, but because I'm doing the burlap, I just kind of zigzag them and made the bows a little bit. It doesn't have the wire in it, so it's kind of going to be a little bit harder to zhuzh it up. Yeah, I kind of stuttered a little. Now it's time to dovetail the ends, and by doing that, you just fold them in half and cut from the middle out, and then you have a cute little dovetail end, and you're ready to attach it to your sign. To attach the words, I am using E6000, and I just kind of put a little bit in the thicker parts of my words, and with the paint and everything, this seems to hold really nicely. You do want to let it dry for about 24 hours, and then I just add some sprigs of greenery and my bow. I do the bow either with staples and E6000, sometimes hot glue. I know that sometimes if you're hanging them outside, hot glue will melt, but whatever. I'm putting it in the house, so it would have been fine. And then the same thing on the back. I just take some of this rope twine and I staple it down, and then usually I do put some E6000 or hot glue. Like I said, if you're putting this outside in the summertime, hot glue is going to melt, girls, so make sure you have some good staples in there. And there is my beautiful bright spring sign. I'm excited to be hanging this in my house, and I'm excited to add some more fun colors to my house and get over this drab old Montana winter. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you appreciate it, and I will see you guys on Friday for a fun Friday.